I was channeling in London in 2016. It was January 2016. And the Z's made this statement that really got my attention, made me a little nervous, but got my attention. And they said, between the years of 2017 to 2024 will be rapid changes on the planet, and it will peak in 2024.
Have you clicked on this video to discover the shocking changes 2024 has in store for us? Then get ready, because the Z's have provided an unfiltered preview of what the future holds, revealing the direction humanity's evolution is taking, with 2024 marked as a pivotal year. We're facing a scale of change unparalleled in over 10,000 years. It's going to be intense, to say the least. However, the Z's also share insights on how we can navigate these turbulent times without getting overwhelmed. Stay tuned till the end to learn what the future holds for us from 2025 and beyond. Who are the Z's? If you have never heard of the Z's, let me fill you in quickly. The Z's are spirit guides who are being channeled by Lee Harris. Lee is a globally acclaimed energy intuitive channeler and musician who offers grounded, practical teachings focused on helping conscious, intuitive, and sensitive people heal, thrive, and live a better life. His channeled books, Energy Speaks, Conversations with the Z's, and Book One became instant bestsellers, and his intuitive messages reach hundreds of thousands of people every month via his free and highly popular monthly energy update videos. So let's dive in with the question that's on everyone's mind these days. What is going on in the world, and why is there so much global turmoil? Many people are trying to understand why things are happening the way they are. There's a big shift happening in the world, and discussions about it are more common now than they were 5 years ago. How can we, as a collective consciousness expanding and evolving, still find ourselves entangled in wars? How can we have so much growth and still have so much suffering? This question reflects the complex reality of human existence, where growth and conflict, peace and chaos coexist. In the whirlwind of change and chaos, it feels as if the world's nervous system is trembling. The Z's have long emphasized the importance of self-care, not as a means of escape or temporary relief, but as a foundation for strength and purpose. They advocate for self-care practices tailored to individual preferences, whether that's meditation, playing with your kids, dancing around the house, or taking nature walks. These activities aren't just hobbies, they're essential for shedding the weight of the world's burdens, allowing us to return to our center and take a breath. During a channeling session in 2016, the Z's have shared that there will be rapid changes on the planet between the years of 2017 to 2024, and it will peak in 2024. And then from 2025 onwards, we will enter a new timeline, and essentially, the new world can begin. But the intensity of these next 7 years is going to be very challenging. At times, it is going to be shocking for many people, and it's going to wake up a lot of people who previously weren't seeing some of the corruption, the inequity, or the imbalance in the world. A lot of people have been too caught up in just making it through each day, which is understandable given how the system keeps most people just scraping by. But it looks like the times ahead are going to shake things up, making everyone take a harder look at what's really going on around them. But they've also mentioned that for the light workers out there, people on a mission to uplift and help, despite being human and having tough days, there's something special in store. Being a light worker doesn't mean you're just a beam of light without struggles. It's about consistently aiming to spread love, harmony, and connection, choosing to heal rather than harm. For those with this focus, the upcoming period, despite its challenges, will have its golden moments. Your purpose will shine brighter, making it clear why you're here during these tumultuous times. It's all part of the plan, not a coincidence. I've been reflecting on how much the Z's have been talking about war and disease lately, especially over the last few years. They mentioned back in 2020 that we were caught in an energetic war, something anyone who lived through those times could feel, regardless of their beliefs or the side they chose. It was clear as day, the division, the tension, the way people were pitted against each other, revealing some truly dark undercurrents at play. As they kept bringing up this notion of war, it dawned on me that they were pointing to a conflict beyond our immediate sight, suggesting that what's unfolding isn't just physical, but part of a larger unseen battle. This year, with the escalation in the Middle East and other conflicts worldwide, it seems to underscore their point about a deep-seated template of war, ingrained over millennia, that we're somehow stuck in. They've shared that in 2024, we're at a pivotal moment, with a chance over the next century or two to break free from this cycle. But here's the catch, and it's a big one for those of us yearning for a more peaceful, harmonious world. As consciousness and light grow stronger, so too will the forces aligned with darkness, fighting even harder to cling to the old, destructive patterns that have plagued our planet for ages. Have you ever noticed how a single person's negative energy can shift the entire vibe of a party or a large group? It really makes you wonder, especially in today's world, where we're constantly bombarded with intense, often negative media coverage that seems to thrive on fear and lacks any real depth or maturity. It begs the question, how can we transform this? How can we shift from being passive receivers of this negativity to actively changing the narrative, especially when it feels like the vast majority of us, over 90%, really don't want any part of this chaos that's being woven into our political and corporate spheres? The Z's have been saying that we're on the brink of a major shift, moving away from a power system that's kept us in a sort of slavery to war and inequitable hierarchies. They suggest that this transition won't happen overnight, but will unfold over the next decade or so, starting in 2025. It's a delicate balance because if all these systems were to suddenly disappear, we'd be in chaos. But there's a slow curve of awareness happening, a gradual awakening. They mention that it only takes 30% of the population to create a significant change, and as of 2021, we were nearing 24% of people starting to question the status quo, which is a big deal compared to how we used to just go along with everything. It's a complex situation, but there's a sense of hope that we're moving towards something better, slowly but surely.
The Z's said from 2025 onwards, it will start to become more crystal clear to us that this is the direction we're going. But we've got to get through 2024. And I hate saying that because I don't want to add to like anyone's existing anxiety about where we're at as a world. But it does feel like 2024 is a really key year in terms of how we get through it, what gets revealed during it. And I do know that destruction or destructiveness is going to be a part of 2024, but when I tune in on it now, I also feel like on the other side of whatever that looks like, whatever that is, the transformation will be for the good and positive.
Lately, we're starting to uncover some pretty shady stuff that went down in the past few years. Things that back then somehow slipped by without causing too much suspicion. It's fascinating as the darker aspects of our world begin to reveal themselves in full force, there comes a pivotal moment. It's when enough of us start recognizing it for what it is that something just clicks. That collective realization is what sparks real change. But to get there, we've got to brace ourselves for 2024. It's shaping up to be a bumpy ride. Yet there's this strong sense that we'll pull through, emerging tougher on the other side. The thing is, without the challenges expected in 2024, we can't really progress. We need those moments of shock to wake us up, to make us say, enough is enough. It's like we need the darkness to surface, to be exposed to the light. Only then can it be thoroughly dealt with. This surfacing, this bubbling up of issues has been gradually happening over the last decade, but it seems we're heading towards a tipping point. As we navigate these turbulent times, it's crucial we keep an eye on our fear and get real with ourselves about how it shapes our reactions. We're all learning to find our balance in the midst of chaos, recognizing what triggers us. If prepping with extra food and water eases your mind, then by all means, go for it. Yet, it's vital we manage our nervous system's reactions, not just for our own peace, but for the collective's well-being. History shows us that during every major crisis, from wars to economic downturns, some people struggle, while others sail through unaffected. Remarkably, there have always been those who thrive in adversity, who have prospered during challenging times. It boils down to understanding ourselves and our responses to the world around us. The energy we radiate attracts similar energy, so spiraling into fear, especially within the bubble of social media, it only amplifies that fear. Yet, if we look at the data, the world is in a better state than it often seems. We have less wars and more people are fed today than at any other time in history. There's always room for improvement, but recognizing our progress is essential. How can we as a collective navigate these challenging times with ease? Self-awareness is our greatest tool to get through these challenging times. Knowing who we are and how we respond to events determines how we experience this immense shift that is taking place. Despite the external chaos, people can be experiencing very different realities, from wealth to poverty, find joy or struggle based on their inner state and choices. History is filled with examples of hope and goodness in the darkest times, reminding us that our response to the world's challenges is a choice. Whether in war zones or peaceful settings, there's always a way to move forward with hope, contribute positively, and shape our journey according to our own values and actions. During this time, we urge you to be mindful of your screen time and consuming content on social media, especially for the highly sensitive among us. There's a tendency for sensitive people to choose isolation over facing the overwhelming outside world. However, unlike 30 or 40 years ago, today's isolation comes with a digital twist. Screens that constantly feed us information. If you find yourself thinking the world is crumbling every time you look at your screen, it's because the algorithms have pegged you for liking such content, and that's all they'll serve up. Choosing real human connections over engaging in superficial online interactions is a shift many are starting to feel and desire deeply. We're wired for connection, for the kind of support and interaction that only comes from being part of a community, whether it's through face-to-face meetings, phone calls, or even video chats. These interactions offer something that passive content consumption simply can't. Nurturing strong human connections should be a top priority, particularly for sensitives. And in the coming years, it will be more important than ever.
We need our good human community and allies, and if you don't have that in your life, I would make 2024 that to be your strongest intention, because we need each other like we need nature.
What do the Z's have to say about human evolution, and what can we expect from 2024 onwards? In a channeling session, the Z's shared some interesting perspectives. There's a power growing inside each of you, and for some of you, it's getting very uncomfortable. You are feeling angrier than before, and you are a little concerned about it because you don't necessarily want your anger to be uncontrolled. But bear in mind that if you are feeling the fire or the anger and you are not just throwing it like a flame at everyone around you or the world in general, you are simply powering up on what we would call your activism. So the part of your inner body that is beginning to recognize there are things you want to say and ways you want to behave differently to bring change. The word activism is tricky, for there are many negative connotations that have been given to this word, particularly by those in power. Pay attention to that. Anybody who is threatening the status quo of the power system will, of course, be branded or cast in a negative light. That is how people try to win battles. They try to dethrone or defame what they perceive as the enemy to them maintaining their power. So there are many of you who would never think of yourselves as an activist, but will become that in the coming 2 to 3 years, and not because you are forced to or it is your only choice or your only hope. It's the part of you that was always going to come online. All of you are becoming a little more robust in your power and what you are here to stand for. So we refer to you as cosmic warriors, and that is true of all who tune in. You are cosmic warriors, meaning that Earth is not your only home. It never was. And most of you came here with high awareness that this moment on Earth was a very important one. For some of you, you are clearing karma when you have gone through what we would call galactic war or battle in other lifetimes. Some of you will have no interest or even belief in that idea, which is fine. For you are here for different reasons. There are many of you who have landed on this planet not so willingly. But the truth is, those of you who are the most resistant to being here right now are the ones who most wanted to come. Those of you who are the most mad and sad that you have ended up on Earth right now, you are the ones who most wanted to come. And what you decided to come here to do was to first break down some of your own resistance to this planet, some of your own memory banks of torturous events that you have experienced on this planet, be they physical, emotional, or mental. There are all different ways that each of you feel tortured on this planet. And for most of you, it is rarely the physical that you experience that energy. It is, in other ways, it is where your freedom is stopped, where you are blocked, where you feel you are silenced and cannot fully express yourself. Well, guess what? Right now, you are on a planet where the expression of consciousness is growing. And the attempt to control who and what you are allowed to be on the planet is also growing by what you would call the old guard, the old system, who have been in many ways preparing for this time in their own way too. So you are in what we would call a battle of consciousness. And those of you who are here as activists, who previously have been here to soothe and nurture others, you are becoming a little more the truth-telling in what you are perceiving and seeing and feeling. And equally, those of you who perhaps before were the harsh truth-tellers in your group who cared not much for people's feelings are how they absorb that medicine. You are beginning to soften a little, and you are beginning to recognize that being able to create harmony is a superpower. It is not about you not being able to handle or avoid conflict energy. It is you recognizing the power. The conflict energy is always wounded energy. So when you are able to harmonize conflict energy in others and in yourself for others, you are actually doing a great service of freeing consciousness back to the template of oneness that is possible on Earth, but won't be possible for some time. So there are a whole group of you who have come here as an experiment in consciousness to see how much oneness you can help seed and feed on the planet, while also experiencing your own personal, what you might call karma, We would rather call them real learnings on Earth that relate to not just other lifetimes you may have had on this planet and others, but many of you choose to take on the karma of other beings. There are many of you who come here and decide that you are going to clean up a lot of collective trauma by embodying it so deeply for so many people that you will take the hit for sometimes hundreds or thousands of people, and sometimes even more than that. The belief that life and karma are linear and that you are just one static entity is being challenged on Earth. Yet this shift is hard for the human mind and emotions conditioned by the mind to comprehend. Lee has never liked the word mental health because it is not a true statement, and he is correct. The mind and emotions are highly linked, and the emotions respond to your energy field. And so the mind is what will keep everything in check and everything controlled, and it will replay things inside you to stop you repeating past lessons. But the problem with a rigid mind is if you were wounded around, let's say, the area of abundance 10 or 20 years ago, the minute someone invites you into an experience of abundance, your mind will start giving you all of the programming as to why you shouldn't. But your energy field might be ready to allow abundance through your system now, because you have gone through so many other lessons, learnings, and evolutions. But your mind, if it is allowed to function as a restriction, if it is allowed to be in charge of your emotional system and your energetic system, it is going to cost you. And what you are seeing right now on the planet is what some of you might call mind control. And this might sound crazy to some of you, but if you look at the way that your planet has been run thus far, there is a certain level of that playing out. And this is the period in your history where it all starts to break apart. The truth is, you have all seen and been through all of this before, but it has never quite looked this way at this time on Earth. So there is both an ancient template running here that all of you are tapping into, and you are having to tap into past ancient traumas that you recognize. But there is also something very new happening on Earth. A whole new level of consciousness is being born, and you are at the crucial tipping point with 2024 serving as a key catalyst for this shift. And 2030 will be a year where you will have the potential opportunity to let the sun come out on the planet in an even bigger way than many of you remember. Even with challenges, because the planet herself has changed rapidly in the last 20 to 30 years.
You are in what you can call the middle of a tumultuous time, which is the human mind's way of being afraid, the human mind's way of acknowledging that things are rocky. But you are also at the beginning of the biggest rebirth of consciousness that this planet has seen for over 10,000 years. That is the potential that you are standing at.
What specific changes can we expect as we transition into this new phase of human evolution? Well, many of you are ahead of the curve, feeling the shift more than others. And you'll start recognizing better ways to live and connect, tuning into life with a higher frequency. Imagine spending time with close friends, feeling blissful because, well, you adore them. They're the same old friends, but your experience is on another level. While you're still enjoying their company and appreciating their unique views, you're also observing from a higher plane of love and understanding. You notice that you're at a different level of awareness, and that doesn't mean you have to change friends, but it's more about seeing and loving them deeper, even if they're not exactly on the same frequency. But the truth is that sometimes as you evolve, some relationships might start feeling like you're not a vibrational match anymore. And this can happen even with people you deeply love. When a relationship ends with mutual respect and love, acknowledging the journey you shared and wishing each other well. That's harmony in action. But if there's a clash and a struggle to let go, it usually means there are deeper wounds involved. Once you start to understand your role in these transformative times, you'll find yourself navigating the external changes more smoothly. This isn't to say you won't feel the impact of what's happening around you, or that you have to be on board with all of it. However, many of you are looking outward, waiting for the world to change, not realizing that real transformation is happening internally. Symptoms of this internal shift might include occasional confusion, feeling mystified by the world that you live in, and parts of your personality wrestling with how to respond to these changes. It's all part of the process as we all adapt to this new phase of evolution. And if you're really paying attention, you'll notice a lot of tugging in different directions. Some are on the edge of their seats for a dramatic event to take place, like spaceships to land, a bomb to go off, or the country to collapse. It's not that anyone's hoping for chaos, but there's this anticipation for a single monumental shakeup. Yet, what's unfolding is a series of ripples, small events that are starting to shake the foundations of the established power structures, much like we've seen but now gathering pace. Lee touched on this earlier. The notion of we the people is getting louder, starting to stand up against the control systems that have long steered the course. Over the next few years, you'll see these power systems trying to cling to their influence. But they are losing grip, and the collective voice and power of the people are gaining momentum, steering toward the vision of the world they want to create.
You are going to go through major personal shifts, and most of you will experience that before you see the shifts that start rippling around the world that will play out in 2024 and have a domino effect through 2025 that will start to allow light to be held, nourished, and built on through the year of 2025 in bigger ways than this past 6-7 years have truly allowed the people to influence.
We can imagine that hearing these intense messages about everything that is ahead can be unsettling. So before we end this video, the Z's have a final message to share on how to navigate the chaos that is ahead of us. During these tumultuous times, it's crucial to remember your mission to foster light, joy, and love. These elements are essential. Without them, the world risks being consumed by darker shades. Many of you play the role of caregivers, whether officially in your jobs or families, or just by carrying that nurturing essence wherever you go. If you're not receiving light, joy, and love in return from these interactions, it's time to bring people into your life who can reciprocate these energies. And you have to start prioritizing being a guardian of light, joy, and heart in yourself as you navigate these tumultuous times, because it is those higher frequencies that allow you to move beyond the base frequencies of fear and conflict that are right now being pumped into your world. These lower energies are fighting hard to replicate themselves within you. Recognizing fear and conflict for what they are is the first step. Acknowledge how they affect you, but then remember, you are much more expansive than these limited vibrations that have been woven into our planet for ages.
But this is the period of time where that clamp around fear and around limitation on the planet is losing its grip. So it is a wild time on Earth for sure, and unpredictable. But because of that wildness and because of that unpredictability, you have to ask yourself, how much more wild and unpredictable might your life, belief system, and way of behaving need to become in order for you to allow more light, joy, and heart into your daily life that will then ripple out to others?
Hearing the call to focus on light, joy, and heart might make some of you think It's about ignoring the darker aspects of life or sticking your head in the sand. But the truth is, most are already neck deep in conflict and fear, far from being blissfully unaware. What's really being asked of you is to look up towards the light that bathes our planet every day, to recognize the love in nature, in people, in animals, and in the energy and connections that bind us across dimensions. It's all out there, waiting for you. The message here is pivotal. Become a guardian of what you want to see in this world, rather than a fighter or someone who is an observer to the chaos. This journey is about finding your balance in the multidimensional and messy, but highly alchemical transforming world. Let yourself be activated by those alchemical energies so that you can become more of a superpower of your own heart. Connection to light and connection to joy. Today's insights from the Z's reaffirmed what many conscious individuals on Earth have been sensing. Old structures are beginning to collapse, marking this year as a critical turning point where significant global changes become increasingly visible. The Z's have prepared us for challenging times ahead, but transformation involves a period of dismantling the outdated to pave the path for new beginnings, a process that may be tough but is essential. The year 2024 is set to be a time of profound shifts and heightened energy. However, by embracing the guidance the Z's have offered, navigating these changes will become more manageable. We are pleased that you stayed till the end, and we are looking forward to building the new Earth together. Thank you for watching, and feel free to like, subscribe, and share this video with the conscious people in your life who would benefit from hearing this message.